Yo, what's up? Welcome to the opening line, back for another week, pushing closer and closer to the month of August and kickoff for the 2019 fantasy football season. Benny and Corey coming at you. How's everything going, Benny? How was the weekend?
It was good, man. It was down the shore. It was hot as balls this weekend, man. I hopefully everybody either stayed inside in the air conditioning or, had a chance to get out in the pool or the sprinkler or something. Because at one point when we were in the car driving home yesterday, it was showing up as 105 degrees outside. The car has like the little temperature thing that shows you the outside temperature. We were driving home, it was 105 degrees. We had the AC blasting, and it still wasn't doing anything. Like, we had to open the windows because it still felt hot in the car.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a heat wave up and down the East Coast, so I definitely know what everybody's going through out there in New Jersey and in that area and stuff like that. How'd the bets go this weekend? I didn't lay it down at all this weekend. I kind of laid low.
Wasn't too bad. Yesterday I hit on the Angels, was literally the only thing I was on yesterday. Saturday I kind of took off. I had stuff I had to do with the family. I didn't have any writing or anything to do Saturday, so I said, well, you know what? We'll make this the one day this week that I'm not playing anything. Friday actually worked out well too, so I'm coming into Monday with a little bit more money than I left last week, which is always the goal.
Cool. Nice job right there. I started breaking down and handicapping week one of the college football schedule. So nothing really to jump in there yet. I don't see before the lines start moving and stuff like that, because of the way I think the lines are going to move in the right direction for the most part. For some of the games that I was looking at, I think the lines are going to move in my favor once the public gets on it and starts to attack it. But that's just was doing some of that stuff right there, getting ready for football in 2019. Now, Benny, when we left the air on Friday, we got off just before the big news, the big story broke. I was telling Jeff about it earlier last week. I was like, don't be surprised if Tyreek Hill don't get nothing, or maybe even just 2 games.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because that story was changing. What ended up happening, Benny, the Kansas City radio station, not only this Tyreek Hill got railroaded in this thing. First of all, nobody's going to stick up for him and defend Tyreek Hill. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
I'm quite sure Tyreek Hill has probably got some shit in his closet too. Tyreek Hill's not a quiet boy. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, well, I mean, a lot of his transgressions are already kind of known. So, I mean, that is why people kind of jump to conclusions right away when this situation happens, is because it's already kind of happened to him. You know what I mean? Like, he had something coming into the league that was similar to this, not exactly the same, but, like you said, he's not a choir boy, but it's also not just that he's not a choir boy, it's that people kind of he already has a strike against him in a lot of people's minds,
No doubt, and you're right about that. And the thing about it is, we all heard a piece of that audio recording where he threatened women and all of that. When you listen to but there's a full version of it too that the Kansas City media had, Benny.
Mm-hmm.
And this one radio station decided, oh, well, let's play the whole thing. And when you play the whole thing, it's like, wait a minute. He might not have did this. Not only that, Benny, the issue from him coming into the league, he may not have did that either. Like, this show even railroaded him for a little while now. So Tyreek Hill, the NFL said this is something that they can uncover again. The girl, Rachel Esplanade, she never spoke to investigators, much like the case with Ezekiel Elliott. But, Benny, I think that, number one, they didn't want to go back and forth to court with Tyreek Hill.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, I keep saying this, and I've been saying this for a while now, Benny. The NFL is not a branch of law enforcement. You know what I'm saying? It's not. It's a sports league. It's not a branch of government. It's not a law enforcement agency. It's the National Football League. The NFL don't need to be in the business of investigations. And I think in this case right here, finally the NFL got it right.
See, to me, here's the whole thing, right? We have a court system, we have a court of law, all that stuff. If the NFL wants to be in enforcement, to protect the shield, which is the catchword, the catchphrase that we always hear is you don't want to do anything to embarrass, the league, protect the shield, all that stuff. Just wait until everything comes out. Like, this is my biggest problem is everybody jumps to these conclusions. Everybody's like, oh, he's guilty. He's going to get suspended. He's going to do all this. I've been telling you for the last month that he's not going to get suspended because this stuff is starting to be coming out slowly. Yep. People just didn't want to believe it because it's not as good as the sensational story of him beating his kid and threatening to kill his girlfriend, wife, fiance, whatever she is. But for the last couple of weeks, this has kind of been the story where, a lot of people had been saying, a lot of people in the Chiefs organization have been saying he's not going to get suspended. I got Tyreek Hill in the 4th, 5th, 6th round of a bunch of drafts that I've had in the last 2 weeks. I've been the guy that's been going up there and taking him because I really feel like he's going to wind up being a 2nd, 3rd round pick right now. So if I'm getting him 10, 20 spots after where he should be going, I'm going to keep taking him. I would have been fine even if he got a 2-game suspension. I still would have been happy with where I drafted him. But without any suspension right now, those are steals. Tyreek Hill in the 4th, 5th, and 6th round right now, those look like steals. Those are the kind of things that can help you win a league.
Now, here's the thing now, Benny. You hit on a couple of things that's very interesting. First of all, let's talk about and break down where he was going this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
He's starting to pop up in the back of the 1st round. So he's on that turn. I think he's more mid-second.
Agree. I would agree. I'm 100. Like, if you're taking him at the end of the 1st round, I think you're reaching a little bit. But in the mid-second round is where I think he belongs. Like, in mid-second to late 2nd round, I think that's exactly where he should be going.
A Michael Thomas, Tyreek Hill start is a nice start because you have that consistent, solid WR1 in Thomas, and then you got the guy that can go for 30 or 40 any given Sunday, and a guy like Tyreek Hill. And when he doesn't have those big numbers, Michael Thomas wants to continue to be there, give you that 19 to 22 every week. I do like that roster construction-wise. Benny, I also has been thinking to myself, I need to start hopping some of these draft champions now because when this Tyreek Hill news break, it's going to be too late. The thing about it is, Benny, play draft, the NFFC, they have national competitions with an overall grand prize in a draft champion format.
Yep.
If you were getting him in the 5th, 6th round for a month, even as low as 7th, 8th round for a month in those contests, Benny, my thing is there's no reason to play now. If you haven't already signed up for a draft champions and a national contest, because in my opinion, Benny, and I know we still got a month before the season starts, right now you're just drafting to win your league. You can forget about the overall. Would you agree with that?
I don't think you're crazy for saying that. What I will say is this, though. I don't think he's the last guy
exactly
to look back on and be like, oh, man, we could have got him at this point in the year, especially because we haven't even had any of the preseason games. And we
haven't had any injuries yet.
Exactly. Like, the same thing that I do is some point in the next week or two, the NFL sites, the DFS sites are going to put out their NFL pricing. And every single year, there's some kind of injury that happens between now and the first game of the season where there's going to be a $3,000 or $4,000 guy that's going to wind up 50, 60, 70% owned in tournaments the first week of the season because whoever was supposed to be starting in his place that was reasonably priced is going to get hurt.
Think about Spencer Ware, Kareem Hunt. Think about Jordy Nelson and Devontae Adams.
Yeah. Years ago, Dak Prescott, Tony Romo was the same thing, when he got hurt in the preseason, You get stuff like that happening all the time, so there's going to be more. So I'll say this. Does it hurt? Yes. What would hurt even more would be like a last year situation where people were playing in these $500,000 buy-in tournaments, and they took Le'Veon Bell in the 1st round. And somebody else took James Conner in the 14th round. That would be something that I'd be like, you're screwed if you didn't have, any James Conner shares at that point in the year. The people who won a lot of those leagues last year, Corey, were people who had guys like James Conner who, I'm not going to say came out of nowhere, but James Conner ended up as a 1st or 2nd round pick by the time the Le'Veon Bell news was known. But when you were drafting in July and August last year, everybody, up to the middle of August, people were still just assuming Lev Bell will be there by week 1. It didn't really sink into people's heads until late in August that, this guy really might sit out. And he might not just sit out a game. He might sit out most, if not all, of the season. You know what I mean? So there are always situations like that come about. Remember, Zeke is saying he's sitting out if he doesn't get a contract. Melvin Gordon saying he's sitting out. Right now, we're just assuming that all that stuff's going to work itself out. But there were a lot of people at this time of year assuming that Le'Veon Bell was going to work out too, and it didn't,
No, 100% agree with you. I remember Mike Blewett had said it the year before. Like before, when the season ended, and when Pittsburgh lost in the playoffs, Mike Blewett said, "Don't be surprised that's the last time you see Le'Veon Bell wearing the Pittsburgh Steelers uniform." Yeah, so right. All sort of rolling a little bit. Going through the spring and stuff, it was like, is Lev Bell going to come? Is Lev Bell going to come? And then Jim Day was saying, don't be surprised if Lev Bell don't show up. Mm-hmm. Then my brother-in-law said, no, he's going to be there. And I drafted him in the GST like a jackass. Mm-hmm. That's true. There's still going to be more dominoes to drop. More things can happen. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. You know, you got a situation developing with the Rams, possibly with Gurley. Like you said, you got a situation developing with maybe Ezekiel Elliott too. You know what I mean? It's some guys out there that if injury happens, for example, let's just say a player like Julio Jones get hurt. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. How high you think Calvin Ridley goes up draft boards?
Well, even Mohamed Sanu's been going almost undrafted or like round 18, 19. If Julio goes down, you got to think, you know, Mohamed Sanu is now a guy that should be a top 10-round pick. You know what I mean? So, and this is what I'm saying is there's a lot of things that happen between when draft season starts around the beginning of July. You know, draft season for fantasy starts around the beginning of July, and first game, which is, you know, the first week of September. That's 2 whole months. And the thing is, it doesn't even have to be like a contact injury. How many times do we see a guy just like ACL injury? Yeah, just, you know, he cut the wrong way. He planted the wrong way. He did it in practice running like, you know, running routes or something like that. Again, it doesn't have to be a contact injury. Things like that happen. These are high-performance athletes that are out there. And if you're not able to play at 100%, it's obviously going to affect your production. So I agree with what you're saying. Yes, it hurts, you know, and it definitely gives an advantage to people who took the chance on Tyreek Hill. But I think there are still a couple other things that can happen. So I don't think it's completely lost, but you're definitely behind the 8 ball if you're not somebody who was able to, you know, grab a 5th, 6th round Tyreek Hill at all. Yeah,
I would say that, you know what I'm saying, realistically, you're playing to win the league. I'm not going to say you don't have any shot at the overall, but you need to try to figure out where that next stud or the star came from. Like Benny said, who is that James Conner? Who is that Kareem Hunt? Back to Back to Hill right quick. Before coming into the weekend, wide receiver 19 in best ball 10s. Let's just go up the list and see where we get into now, Benny. Tyreek Hill or Robert Woods?
Tyreek Hill better, yeah.
Kenny Galladay.
Yeah, Tyreek Hill.
Brandon Cooks.
Yes.
Julian Edelman.
I mean, in best ball, yeah, because he has more upside. But, I mean, there are people who love Edelman because of the PPR stuff that would – Edelman has a higher floor, I think. I really do, because I think he's going to get his 7-8 catches a game. You know what I mean? But Hill has a much higher ceiling. Like, just way higher ceiling.
Stephon Diggs.
Yes, I put Hill ahead of him, but this is where we're starting to get close now.
A.J. Green.
The injury history is my big thing with A.J., so yeah, I'd still put Hill ahead of him.
Amari Cooper.
Because of the offense, yeah, I think I'd still put him ahead of him.
T.Y. Hilton.
Yeah, I think I still put him ahead, but that's very close.
Keenan Allen.
I think this is where he belongs, right around here.
This is wide receiver 10.
Yeah, I mean, I would still like you could make, again, Keenan Allen may have the better floor because of the consistent targets he sees, but Hill's still got better upside. So in a best ball, you want the upside. Yeah, I mean, I'd still probably have Hill ahead of him too.
In a redraft, I would go Tyreek Hill.
Okay. I mean, again, I'm not going to argue with it. This is the area I think he belongs in. No, Keenan Allen, T.Y. Hilton, Tyreek Hill, like, you know, that's where he belongs.
Next is Adam Thielen. I would take him over Adam Thielen.
I wouldn't. I love Thielen, though. So that's maybe not.
Yep. Yeah. So you got him as wide receiver 10. Next is Mike Evans. To me, that's where it's at right there. Do I want Tyreek Hill or Mike Evans? So I got him as wide receiver 8.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, we basically cut his ADP more than in half, right? Because he was going at 19 and we got him at 9 or 10.
Yep. So that's the kind of playmaker he is right there. You know what you're getting with Tyreek Hill as long as he can stay on the field. It does wonders for Pat Mahomes.
Yes. I remember people who were saying, "Oh, you can't take Mahomes if they don't have the Hill," because, well, he's got Hill back now. So
he's got Hill. He's got a full arsenal of weapons. Now, what about the guys, Benny, that's taking Travis Kelce in the first and the second? Do you still should Kelce's ADP start to come down now?
Probably not. I mean, I don't really think he affects them all that much. I mean, the two of them have coexisted before. Kelce, the things that Kelce does and the things that he'll do don't really overlap, right? You know what I mean? Maybe they'll throw Kelce the ball down the field a little bit, but he's more of a high target guy who's going to get a lot of his catches. Again, with Tyreek Hill here, do I think Kelce – I didn't think Kelce was going to all of a sudden get 15 to 20 targets a game without Tyreek Hill. And I don't think he's all of a sudden going to drop to 5 targets because Hill's back. He's still going to get 7 to 10. He's still going to come away with 6 to 8 catches. He's still going to get his, 60, 70, 80 yards with the potential for upside. And he's still going to be a touchdown scorer. So I don't think it affects Kelce at all. If anything, I think it actually makes life easier on him because now you can't double him. Now you got to respect Hill's speed over the top, which means the safety has to play deep or they have to shade to that side. And it just gives everybody more room to operate.
No doubt. He's still going to finish his tight end 1. It's just a matter if you want to take him in the first round or not. So there you go right there. That's kind of a personal preference style thing. Not to change the subject, Benny, but it just hit me. Did you watch the fights this weekend?
I actually didn't. I was at the UFC fights, right? It was all on ESPN. From what I was reading on Twitter, though, apparently it was not very good. Really? There were a lot of people that were like, if this is people's first – because it was on ESPN. I think it was free. Free to watch if you have ESPN. A lot of people were like, if this is your first time watching MMA, you're not watching a second time. I was like, that's pretty harsh. That's a pretty harsh statement right there. But it's being said by people I respect, so I'll take their opinion for it.
A couple names start on the pup list. This is not, can't come back till week 6. This is their pull them off.
Right.
At some point during training camp. DeAndre Hopkins is the interesting one. I don't want to say I'm fading D-Hop this year. I'm not going after him aggressively, though.
Well, I'm the same way. I mean, there are at that point in time where I'm going to pick wide receivers, he's not the top of my list, and he's never there on the way back to me. You know what I mean? So I just wind up – it's not that I'm fading him. I like other guys better, and other people are higher on him than I am that he never makes it back to me there. I will say this, though. I have a lot of both Will Fuller and Kiki Kuti as later round picks in a lot of drafts that I've done already. Like, one of those two guys is on almost every team I've drafted so far.
I think that's a good idea, too. Listen, it's not – D-Hop has missed one game, I think, in his career. His durability, his availability is one of his best assets. Top wide receiver in NFL. You know what I'm saying? Pound for pound, I would say that. I would agree with that. And I love Deshaun Watson this year. This dude is beat up, Benny. Mm-hmm. He's beat the F up. You know what I'm saying? At some point, I'm thinking at some point it's got to catch up with him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not in the business of predicting injuries.
Yeah.
But the way I look at it is there are certain guys coming into the season. Like, one thing I actively try to avoid, and I tell people this all the time, is like I actively try to avoid guys that are, people who are banged up or starting the year with an injury. Because if you start the year with an injury, there's a much bigger chance that you're going to get one during the season.
Doug Baldwin.
And the numbers have shown this before because, one, you're not getting the full, training camp to get yourself ready that you normally do. You're getting a shortened version of it. So you may be pushing yourself harder at certain points than you should be. And a lot of times when you have a minor injury, and we see this with a lot of athletes, your ankle is, been injured. So you tape it up and you play through it, but you're compensating by, using your thigh or your knee more when you're cutting or doing something like that. And then you wind up popping an ACL because you were favoring one leg over the other because of something like that.
It's kind of it's like the Kevin Durant.
Yeah, and again, it happens all the time. Like, we see it in every sport. We see it with all different kinds of athletes. if you could just avoid – it's hard enough to keep guys that are completely healthy in week 1 completely healthy until week 17 in the NFL. You know, the old joke is like by week 3 in the NFL, everybody's hurt. It's just a matter if you can play through it or not, you know? So if you're already taking guys that are starting behind the 8 ball at the beginning of the season, they're not going to all of a sudden get right during the year. You know, literally going to play the entire season with whatever injury they had in week 1 and then do something about it after the season. That's just the way that it works. So I actively try to avoid anybody who is having major problems. Another guy that we'll probably talk about in a minute on the PUP list that is somebody I've actively been avoiding for the same reason is Sony Michel.
And I was going to bring up the name Sony Michel. See, I'm different with Michel. If he starts to fall, give me the value on him. You know what I'm saying?
He's already falling. He's fallen way further than he should for the starting running back for a New England Patriots offense, with him being a big touchdown scorer last year too. I already think there were some drafts where he went 6th, 7th round.
Then he is falling, yeah. If he right now he's sitting at 20, going into the weekend before this news, sitting at 20. Ahead of Josh Jacobs, ahead of Phil Lindsay, ahead of Mark Ingram, ahead of Tariq Cohen, ahead of Kenyon Drake, ahead of James White, ahead of Chris Carson, ahead of Darius Geist. If he drops down to this Darius Geist, Chris Carson area, I'm grabbing him at that point. Because my thing is, I would rather him slide below Tevin Coleman. So if he goes from about running back 20 to about running back 30, going in that 8th round range, that I can put him on my bench at that point. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Play the long game with Sony Michel. Do you think he's worthy of playing the long game with?
Yeah, I mean, listen, we know the Patriots are going to be in the red zone. We know the Patriots are going to score touchdowns. When they get into the red zone, the guy that they gave the ball to last year was Sony Michel. That was his kind of role. He basically took the LeGarrette Blount role from a couple years ago.
Mm-hmm.
The LeGarrette Blount role from a couple years ago was a very profitable role. I mean, again, speaking of guys that you could get at the end of a draft that nobody was talking about that wound up being tournament winners for people, that was a guy that did that. Sony Michel was doing that for the Patriots, did that for the Patriots in the Super Bowl. You know, I mean, if they get inside the 5-yard line, they're putting the ball in his gut and he's getting into the end zone. There's a lot of value in having that guy, even if he doesn't catch a lot of passes or, you know, get 20 carries a game. Having the guy on a high-scoring team that's going to punch the ball in. You know, somebody did an article this week. I forget who it was, or I'd give him credit. Might have been Josh who does the air yards thing. I think it was one of his articles. But basically, they were showing how more than, I think it was like 50% of the touchdowns that were scored in the NFL last year were scored from like the 5-yard line and in. So if you're that back that's going to be the guy getting the ball on the 5-yard line and in, you know, you have a higher chance of getting a touchdown every week and also being a guy who racks up multiple touchdowns in any given game. That's what Sony Michel can do when he is healthy. So I think if you're getting him, I mean, even at RB20, I think a healthy Sony Michel would be way higher than that. So even at RB20, I think there's, you know, it's probably where he should be. But like you said, if you're getting him any later than that, I think there's value in it.
Speaking of touchdowns, you brought up something that I wanted to bring up. Ezekiel Elliott should be 1-1.
Okay.
Elliott had 6 rushing touchdowns last year. If he would have had 16, which he's possible of, he would have ran away with being an RB1.
Yeah.
You got to think positive touchdown regression is coming to Ezekiel Elliott.
Yeah, 6 seems like a low number. That's all he had last year?
He had 6 rushing touchdowns, 3 receiving touchdowns.
I would have to double-check what they did in the red zone, but that does seem –
Prescott runs the football a lot in the red zone.
So that's what I'm saying is there has to be a reason why he only had 6. Maybe teams were stacking the box against the run and they started doing more, option read or something like that, and it wound up being more Dak-ish. But, yeah, I would think that the regression for him is probably to the north this year. So
he had 15 his rookie season.
Okay. How many rushing?
Huh?
How many of those were rushing?
15 rushing in his rookie season.
Oh, wow. So that doesn't even count. Not that he caught a lot of passes his first year anyway, but go ahead.
15 rushing his rookie season, right? He had 7 rushing in 10 games.
Right.
In his second season. And then last year, he had 6 on 305 carries and 1,400 yards.
Yeah, so I mean, his second season, he really should have averaged. It should have been like 11 or 12 if he would have played the whole 16-game schedule. So he would have got like another 4 touchdowns or so. So, he would have been like 11, somewhere between 11 and 12. And then, like you said, last year, only 6 seems like an outlier number. I would think, I wonder if there's a prop on it. I would think that Ezekiel Elliott rushing touchdowns, if the number is under 10, I think you'd want to be hammering that one pretty heavy.
Not a bad idea, Benny. Speaking of Dak Prescott, he's had 6 rushing touchdowns in every season.
Well, that's one of the reasons why, some of the guys that love Dak Prescott as a fantasy option, that's one of the things that they always point to in their argument is that he gets in the end zone as often, if not more often, than any other running quarterback. Which again is something to discuss. And then they have a better passing game now ever since they went and got Amari Cooper. I mean, the passing game definitely looked better late in the year last year than it probably ever has in the Ezekiel Elliott era so far. So, there are a couple good things about Dak Prescott that you can talk about, and it's not just what he does with his arm.
Listen, I'm not playing with you, Dak. It's serious business this year, Dak. If this Ezekiel Elliott come back and everybody's healthy, it's only one person to point the finger at. Well, 2. Jason Garrett can always catch a finger, too.
How do you feel about Jason Garrett as a Cowboys fan, by the way? I know it's a little off topic, but, again, from the outside looking in, I can't understand how he's been able to keep his job this long.
Jason Garrett is going on outside of, like, Bill Belichick and Pete Carroll. Jason Garrett might be the longest tenured coach in the NFL.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I don't really get it. But, again, you're a Cowboys fan, so that's why I'm asking you what,
I put it like this, Benny. I tell you, the Baltimore Ravens, when they hired Harbaugh, who I think is fantastic.
Agree.
They wanted to hire Jason Garrett.
I don't get
They wanted to hire Jason Garrett.
I really don't get it.
I'm like this with Jason Garrett. Jason Garrett is a tremendous motivator. I don't know about his X's and O's. So you have coaches like that, though. Not every coach is a Brad Stevenson, whiteboard, chalkboard. You know what I mean? You got some coaches that know how to bring the best out of their team.
I get that.
And inspiration. I think Jason Garrett is good at that. His X's and O's, he needs help.
I would agree with that because there are some plays, clock management stuff, even just like play calling and stuff like that, that it doesn't make sense to me. Here's the thing that I think a lot of coaches need to understand, though. I'm fine. I agree with you. You could be an X's and O's guy, or you could be a rah-rah guy, and you can be successful in this league. But I always feel that you need to build your coaching staff to strengthen your shortcomings. Yep. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're not an X's and O's guy, then you need somebody who is an X's and O's guy as your coordinator, or, on either side, offense or defense. If you're not a motivator and you're an X's and O's guys, then you need somebody who's fiery and can get guys. If you're an X's and O's guy and you can't get people fired up, you need a Rex Ryan to be your defensive coordinator to get them fired up while you're doing the X's and O's. You know what I mean? So that's my thing with Jason Garrett is like, understand that you're not a good X's and O's guy and get somebody who is and have them be in your head so that they're feeding you good information of things that you're not thinking about if that's your shortcoming. Otherwise, as a coach, you're not doing your job.
And I agree with you on that, Benny, because I look at it and, you see it a lot in coaching circles. Do you watch Last Chance U?
No. What's that?
Netflix?
I haven't. No. Is it good?
It's about junior college football and how, some of the top players end up in junior college football. You got to check it out. It's pretty interesting stuff, and you'll see a lot of interesting characters at coach. Quarterback 11 right now, Benny, means he's being drafted as a quarterback 1 is Jared Goff. I don't want to sound like everybody knows I'm not a Jared Goff guy. I don't want to keep beating down Jared Goff, but it blows my mind that Jared Goff is ranked this high. It really does.
Well, again,
I understand the weapons and the offense, but this guy's not that good.
I mean, the argument I was about to make is going to be the weapons and the offense. I mean, again, I'm not a huge, Jared Goff proponent either, but –
where he finished last year. Go ahead.
Well, I mean, I'm just going to say, you look around at that team, right? You have 3 stud wide receivers. All right, let me not say stud.
I'm going to say stud is a
well above average wide receivers they have, right?
No doubt.
You have a well above average running back. You play at a fast pace. They got a lot of plays off last year in that offense. You have a creative young coach who's aggressive, goes for it on 4th downs, and is willing to throw on early downs and long situations and things like that. That's the kind of guy where I'd be fine with it because the offense that he's in is conducive to scoring fantasy points. Now, again, they probably have a tougher schedule this year playing a first-place schedule than they did last year, so they're going to play some better defenses along the way. But I still think that the Rams are going to be one of the higher-scoring teams in the league. And as one of the higher-scoring teams in the league, you kind of want as many pieces of some of those offenses as you can. I mean, it's not rocket science here, guys. In fantasy football, Kansas City is going to be a high-scoring team. You want pieces of that offense. The Rams are going to be a high-scoring team. You want pieces of that offense. The Colts, the Patriots, the teams that you're expecting to put up a lot of points this year,
you want to be involved.
You want pieces of that offense. Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it's not rocket science. You look at the Miami Dolphins. You look at the Jacksonville Jaguars. These are the Tennessee Titans. These are teams that are not expected to put up a lot of points. You don't want a lot of pieces from those offenses. Like, it's that simple.
No doubt. But finished as quarterback 9 last year, Jared Goff, but he did see the numbers start to tail off down the last 4 games of the season, and obviously in the playoffs. He was exposed Sunday, but C.J. Anderson exposed my Dallas Cowboys the week before that, so this is all for naught. FantasyGuru.com, all this information. The podcast is rolling. Draft Kit is rolling. Getting work done every day. Just did one last night with my man Tyler Beaker on best ball strategies, and we actually discussed the Tyreek Hill situation and some other players moving forward. So that is FantasyGuru.com. Draft Guide on sale now for 2019. All right, Brittany, let's get ready. Let's head over to Prize Picks, see if we can get some winners on the Prize Picks side before we get up out of here.
Yeah, I got a lock here today for Prize Picks. So you guys just put this in and start making money on it. So let's see here. Let me look at my notes. We got Mike Clevenger over 39 points going up against the Toronto Blue Jays. So Clevenger's basically back, right? Like, he missed a couple games this season. He was on the DL. He came back. He got roughed up once or twice. His last couple starts have been very good, though. So far this year in limited innings, 14.7 K per 9. So this is a guy who can easily get you the 39 fantasy points because he has huge strikeout upside there. As good as he's been this year with the 3.57 ERA, his xFIP is actually only 2.27, which means he's actually been unlucky to have a 3.50 ERA, which most pitchers in the league would die to have. So he's going to absolutely destroy this Toronto lineup here today. So I'm definitely looking at Clevenger as an over. And also, if you want to bet Cleveland Indians today, they're minus 175. Again, not a lot of value there, but I totally expect Clevenger to dominate. And the team, the guy who's pitching on the other side, Baroki for Toronto, he absolutely sucks. So they're going to – yeah, Cleveland should win that one easy. But I love Clevenger as the prize pick. Now, the other thing I love for prize picks is actually Anthony Rendon. They're going up against the Colorado Rockies today. The Rockies bullpen has been garbage all season long. So you have that in late inning shitty pitchers coming in that you're going to be able to see Rendon kind of tee off on. So that's a good thing. The other thing, though, is the guy who's starting for them, Lambert. This is a guy who normally goes like 4 to 7 innings in whatever starts he has. Limited innings. He's a 22-year-old kid. He was like a second-round pick. They say he's going to be a big prospect. He's got an ERA that's over 6 so far. He's got an xFIP over close to 5. It's like 470-something. So this is another guy that kind of sucks. Right-handed and left-handed bats have both hit him pretty well. And Anthony Rendon has been crushing right-handed pitching this year. He's got a 151 WRC plus against righties this year, which is a huge, huge number. Like, that puts him up there in the elite category. So Anthony Rendon over 10 and Clevenger over 39. To me, you put those two together and you got a 2x2 lock on prize picks tonight for MLB.
There you go right there. Do we got any locks in MLB betting-wise? Any home run pops? Anything you looking at?
Yeah, there's a couple things I'm looking at. The Texas Rangers have the highest strikeout rate in the league against left-handed pitching at 27% and the second lowest WRC plus as a team at only 84. They're facing Marco Gonzalez and the Mariners today. Marco Gonzalez being a left-handed pitcher, so he profiles well against them. I was surprised to see that Seattle's only minus 117. So I think the Mariners are a good bet here today. The Mariners and Cleveland together, if you parlay them, you actually wind up with plus money. So that's something you can do to get plus money. If you really want to get crazy today, there's a couple live dogs that I like too, Corey. I like the Marlins are plus 105 against the Chicago White Sox at Chicago.
I got it, man. People are on it. Been on FanDuel, they at minus 104.
Well, you know what? It started moving already. Again, I got in at plus 105 last night when I was writing these down. So when you have the line moving in your favor, that's usually a good sign. So I like that. The other team that's a live dog, I think, is the Twins against the Yankees today. Okay. I hate to kind of say it, but this Twins team is the third best team in the league against left-handed pitching, and they're going up against CC Sabathia today. When I was breaking down individual matchups for the hitter article, you know, like Nelson Cruz has always absolutely crushed lefties. He's one of the best in the league. Like Nelson Cruz against a lefty is a thing, right? But then you got like CJ Cron, Miguel Sano, Garver, Arez, Polanco. Like there's a lot of other guys in this team that have like 120 to 130 WRC pluses over the last couple of years. I just feel like this is a really, really bad matchup for CC. So getting plus money on the Yankees is something – I mean, getting plus money against the Yankees with the Twins I think is a decent bet there. So the Marlins were plus 105 last night. You're telling me they're minus 104 now, but I still think that's pretty decent. And the Twins last night were plus 106. I don't know if that's still where they are today. But if you want to add one of those to like the Cleveland Indians – you'd be surprised at the payoff on it that you're getting. You're getting almost 2-1 to hit on both of those bets. So it is definitely something worth looking into. But my favorite bet of the day
at plus 102, but don't – and people out there, when you see the Yankees at minus 116, your automatic first thought is to jump. Today may not be the day to jump.
Yeah, and when you see them at minus 116, that's usually a bad sign because most days they're minus 200, minus 180, minus 160. But like I said, my best bet of the day is the Mariners. And then I'll throw you the home run for today, Corey. My home run call for today, Dan Vogelbach of the Mariners, the lefty, going up against Adrian Sampson of the Texas Rangers, who has really struggled lately and really struggled with the lefties lately too. So I think Vogelbach at plus 400 can take him yard today.
Vogelbach sitting at on FanDuel, he's sitting at plus 390. Right quick, Nelson Cruz is plus 230, Miguel Sano plus 250, CJ Cron plus 280.
Yeah, I like the Nelson Cruz at plus 230 would be the one I'd take of all those. But again, if I can get, you know, what'd you say plus 390 Vogelbach is? I think it was plus 400 on DraftKings. But again, around plus 400 on Vogelbach, I think that's a good one. This guy's got a ton of power. He's a monster.
All right, there you go. My big piece of chicken, Benny, I got to give it to Mariano Rivera. You know what I'm saying? Cooperstown, all the good stuff that Mariano Rivera done. Many, many, many great moments and great memories of being a New York Yankee fan due to the great play of Mariano Rivera. So a tip of the cap to my man Mo.
Yeah, that's who I was going to give it to as well. I mean, call me a homer Yankee fan. I don't really care. If you've ever been in Yankee Stadium for a playoff game, when you hear exit lights go on, the place goes crazy. I've heard people scream louder. I've been at Metallica concerts, and I've heard people scream louder for Enter Sandman when Mariano Rivera was walking out than when Metallica was on stage.
All right, there you go right there. Don't forget everything. My prize pick, the promo code is ELITE. Don't forget fantasyguru.com draft guide up and rolling right now for my main man, Benny and Corey Parson. We are out.